Mount Diablo UU congregation, I am honored to be here with you this morning. I am Susan Frederick-Gray. I'm one of the three women candidates, one of the three candidates for UUA president, and I'm honored to be here. I have known your fine and wonderful minister, Leslie Takahashi, for 15 years. We met in the southern region when I was in Nashville and you were in North Carolina so many years ago, and we've worked together in many capacities, and I am grateful for you. And I think you all are really fortunate to have such a fine minister. Once upon a time, there was a Unitarian Universalist congregation that had been through many tumultuous years. Now, as beautiful as our theology is, grounded in compassion and love and covenant, our congregations are made up of, well, human beings. Hopeful, struggling, beautiful, suffering, imperfect human beings. And as such, we can all stumble, we can hurt one another and break covenant, and we can lose our way. And so this was a congregation that was experiencing the challenges of human community. They had conflicts with ministers, they had division among members. For more than a decade, they were stuck in cycles of conflict. Now, of course, there was also caring, friendship, and commitment, but it was challenging. Then a leader of the congregation, a member of the board of trustees, began asking one question. He asked, what would happen if our congregation disappeared? Would it matter? Would anyone even notice? Well, with this question and the vision of other leaders, this congregation that had struggled so long arguing with itself realized that it had a larger purpose. The board was clear that the health of the congregation mattered, and not just to them, but to the wider community. So they created a strategic plan with just one big, hairy, audacious goal, and that goal was to live into the beloved community. Dr. Martin Luther King spoke a lot about the beloved community. It was a foundation of his theology and his view of how humanity and society needed to grow. In beloved community, each person is welcomed, and we seek the fullest unfolding of each individual. He said that in beloved community, racism, discrimination, poverty would not be tolerated, because a commitment to the dignity of all people would hold such a high commitment that we would seek to live together in love and compassion, but also in larger justice. So this congregation wanted to build a beloved, caring, nurturing community that was not just focused on itself, but the wider world. And so it was at this time that I met this particular congregation. It is the UU congregation of Phoenix, which I've been blessed to serve for the past 8 years. And they inspired me, and together we have continued to nurture in the heart of our community a vision of a multi-generational, multicultural, religious community committed to the spiritual growth of our people and the advancement of love and justice both within and beyond our walls. You see, something powerful, transformative happens when people see a greater purpose for themselves. This happens for individuals, and it also happens for communities. In times of conflict, change, or scarcity, there is a natural tendency for people to become anxious, to move into self-preservation mode, to wish to build walls around themselves. Within institutions, we can grow fearful and focus on preserving what we know, forgetting that in times of change and uncertainty, more is needed of us. More leadership, more hope, more love. And this is just such a moment where more is being called forth from us as human beings, as Unitarian Universalists. This is a defining moment, not just for our country, but for our planet. We are in a time of enormous change and uncertainty. My colleague, the Reverend John Dorhauer, who is the president of our liberal Christian cousins, the United Church of Christ, has likened this time that we're living in to that of the Protestant Reformation, a time of radical change in borders and governments and religion. Much of that change is attributed to the printing press. Well, today's printing press is the internet and social media, changing our world in ways that I don't think we even fully see all the changes that will arise. Now, periods of great change can be destabilizing, as well as characterized by powerful resistance to change, and fear can grow in all of our hearts as we face uncertainty and change. But more than ever, we need vital, healthy, spiritual communities that nurture connection in a time of disconnection. We need communities that guide us to keep our hearts open, even in the midst of fear and uncertainty. We need spiritually vital communities that help us practice and embody the beloved community. I'm running for president of our Unitarian Universalist Association because I believe that we have a vital role to play in exactly these times. But to meet the challenge of this time, we need to change some of the ways that we do things. So I think there's three things we need to focus on as a faith in our congregations and the wider movement. Number one is to nurture spiritual vitality in our congregations. Number two, to ground ourselves in partnership. And number three, to be organized for impact. So let me just say a little bit about each. First, nurturing spiritually vital communities in this time of disconnection where so much breaks our hearts. Our communities need to be places of collective resiliency, compassion, and courage. We need communities that can tend to our hearts and give us strength in these times. Number two, we need to be deeply grounded in partnership. The challenges of this moment, from racial injustice to climate justice, call for broad coalitions of people working together at the intersections of change. Now, for the last 8 years, I've lived in Arizona near the border. And I've come to see that this time we're living in is a border time, and ours is a border faith. So a border community is a unique place. It's not defined by either or thinking, but by a both and way of life. It is a place of change, sometimes tension, but also a place of creativity and opportunity as people come together across differences and create something new. And Unitarian Universalism is a border faith because we live on the border between Christianity and Judaism and humanism, and increasingly we live on the border with indigenous tradition, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, seeking wisdom from the world's religious traditions. This is a time for us to more fully embody and practice this openness, this curiosity, this borderland faith, reaching more deeply across our faith as well as beyond. And the hope of living into partnership, and not just partnership with other faith communities, but also with justice communities that may have no particular religious affiliation. The hope of that is that partnership helps us develop humility. It helps us see beyond our own perspective into a deeper understanding of our fundamental interdependence, which is absolutely essential to moving change in this time as our world shrinks, as our earth gets smaller and we connect more deeply across it. And then finally, we need to be organized for impact. This means putting mission first and asking, how will we organize our congregations and institutions to be relevant and effective in the 21st century? When the Unitarian Universalist Association made the decision in the face of the most punitive anti-immigrant law in Arizona, SB 1070, and we decided not to boycott Arizona, but to shape our General Assembly, our national gathering, as a Justice General Assembly so that we would have an impact on the ground for migrant rights, we said we would not do business as usual so that we could have an impact, which raises the question about what our business as usual leads to. I believe that fundamentally this is not a status quo, business as usual kind of moment. I believe that we are living in a time where we are going to have to change. We need a qualitative change in our souls and our hearts, and we need a quantitative change in how we live. More is being asked of us as the realities of our globe, of our earth, of our planet change. As people migrate across our planet seeking water and food and safety. To this moment, we need to ask, how can we bring a vital and relevant force to this moment? How are we going to unlock our faith and the power and capacity of our people? That's what we did at Justice GA. We discarded business as usual because we wanted to have an impact, and we ended up unlocking this tremendous spirit-filled justice presence that not only made a difference in Arizona, it made a difference in the people who were there and in our larger institution. I'm running for UUA president because I believe this is a defining moment and that we have a critical moral and religious presence to bring to this moment. Today, many people are leaving religious communities and institutions because they fail to see their relevance for the real challenges that we face. But I know that Unitarian Universalism matters. I know the qualities of our communities matter. The impact of our values matter. As a lifelong UU, I know the life-saving presence that our communities can be and how much that matters. As president, I would be committed to fostering mission clarity to help us be organized to make an impact in the lives of our people and in the wider world, unlocking our generosity, unlocking our spiritual depth and the health of our faith, so that we might be a vital and bold force for love and justice in this time. More is being called for us and from us. May we be the people that we are called to be.